Alright, so it looks like stream should be live here. So this is Fireside Chat number 85. Right now, this is a bit more like what Fireside Chat is going to be looking like in the future because my thinking was, for those who know what the term Fireside Chat comes from um, FDR, U.S. president back in the 30s, doing this sort of informal radio broadcast to the whole country, just basically giving, a direct overview of the state of the country, if you will. So that's kind of my thinking of what to do with Fireside Chat. I wanted to just make it more concise, make it something where the purpose is more specific like that, and also fits the name a little bit better. And I think that seems like a good idea. I mean, I've kind of talked about the reasoning for that before, but if you haven't heard yet, the deal is that essentially Fireside Chat's going to be shifting to this sort of roughly 15-minute segment, something like that, wherein it's just me giving announcements, overview of the clan, that type of thing. And anyone in the clan is, of course, welcome to message me, ping me, even comment in Twitch chat on issues they want me to discuss, questions they have, announcements they want me to make. Like, for example, you want me to mention your event, weekly event or something here, or you want me, you have some topics, something like that you want me to bring up, can totally do that. So, yeah, that's what it's going to be shifting towards. And then as far as the discussion segment with everybody present, that's shifting to a different event called Court of the High King. And I'm going to be announcing the time slots, two per week, where it will just be me for either 30 minutes or an hour, just kind of hanging out in a channel and streaming. Most likely, either streaming games or I'll actually show you now. This is the Court of the High King background, so hopefully I'll actually remember to um, change that when the event actually happens. But the idea is that it will just be kind of informal, but it provides the opportunity for any member of the clan to just join in and just come talk about. The idea is it will be about WA stuff, if at all possible. And generally speaking, I'll try to have some topics on hand, sort of like a more impromptu, improvised version of the WA lecture series that I did, I believe, two of. That's kind of the idea. So that's what the Court of the High King is going to be. And then basically the idea is that those will be the two events. So there'll be two Court of the High Kings every week, and then there'll be a fireside chat once a week, still at the same time, but it's not going to be a public event. Probably what I'll do is just stay in Sir Dollar, the channel that I use for all these broadcasts and stuff like that, for all that. But for the fireside chat, I'll probably make it so it's just me able to talk just for the duration of that. So that way, if people want to join and listen to it via Discord rather than Twitch, maybe you're on mobile, Twitch doesn't work as well or whatever. I'm definitely gonna do that, but I'll probably do the muting thing just in case somebody forgets their on voice activation and they join and go AFK and they're running a chainsaw in the background or something. So yeah, so that's kind of the plan with those two events as far as how that's gonna work. As far as for the week of next week, December 8th through 14th, I'll try to announce the Court of the High King time slots for that week. I'll probably announce after this fireside chat. Actually, I'll just be posting that in events. Um, I'm uncertain if I'll actually update the calendar for it, just because it's going to be such like a limited thing. I want to say I probably won't, unless it's like highly requested, just because it's like a different time slot every week, so it's kind of hard to put it on the calendar. So yeah, I'll probably just announce in events when those are, and then I'll announce, of course, when they actually begin. And again, they will be live streamed on Twitch, so this isn't uh, essentially watch what you're saying, I guess. So yeah, I think that will be a lot of fun. Hopefully, I think will allow more people the opportunity to kind of participate in these public events, and if they, are in different time zones or whatever, different availability on certain days, hopefully there's some more options now to cover more of that. And then, yeah, the other big thing is going to be the Vet Vigor, which is I had kind of talked about for the last few weeks about a potential Yule tournament, wanting to do something that isn't something we've done every Yule, but it has been done a couple of times. I did it, I want to say, Yule 2017. There was a League of Legends tournament that I hosted, and Yule 2010 there was a tournament. I want to say it was just StarCraft among maybe one or two other kind of competitive Yule events. So yeah, but that's the idea with the Vet Vigor is that's going to be bringing the Yule back to the traditional kind of Yule tournament, Yule event. So then basically. The idea is that rather than it being a house war like a Hjor thing or a battle between the great companies like a Yarnrith, it's actually just sort of it's a free for all essentially. It's a melee. So basically, everyone earns points just for themselves, and the top 12 point scorers will be featured in a song as the prize. And this will be both lyrics and an actual song I'm going to record as well, which hopefully turns out well. It is in the writing process right now. But yeah, that's the idea, and I'm hoping that kind of one thing I've certainly struggled with myself is okay, what kind of cool prizes can we and awards and stuff can we offer aside from just marks? Because not that marks aren't cool, but I mean I think mark boards are getting more and more crowded, and it's getting to the point where it's like, are we going to have a mark for every single Yule that's its own mark? I mean, it starts to get out of hand, so it's cool to kind of look for other ways that I think people can still find really interesting to kind of thank people for participating in these kind of events. So that's the idea. In announcements, it should be all the rules for the Vet Vigor are in there. It's pretty similar to the Hjor thing and the Yarnhearth in terms of there's a certain way you have to say your challenges, and there's two channels. Vet Vigor challenges, where you challenge people and respond to challenges and negotiate the what game it's on, how many people you're going to bring in, and scoreboard, where the winner posts the result. And the Gladiators Guild is also helping. We have a spreadsheet set up thanks to Leda, and we're going to edit that and keep track of all the challenges and the points and everything like that until the end of the event. And just a heads up on the dates on that, it begins at midnight Pacific time on December 16th, and it will end January 1st at midnight is when you have to have sent out your challenges by that point, and then all outgoing challenges must be completed a week later, January 8th at midnight. Which is one thing I think is a great change from the Hjor thing in Yarnworth, because we've usually had, oh, we've got 15 minutes left in this competition. Let's spam rock, paper, scissors, and coin flip challenges. And I never had the guts to literally outlaw that, but I think probably in hindsight most people agree, having a huge numbers of points being decided by rock paper scissors and coin flip isn't the best for the competitive integrity of the event. So I'm not saying you can't do that for this event either, but I think the idea is that because there's a week between when you have to issue challenges and when challenges are completed, hopefully people will be playing just for the fun of it, for the purpose of the event, rather than seeing that they're down by 5 points, so just trying to spam coin flips on somebody so that hopefully they can just win. I think having that 1 week delay will help a bit. But yeah, I'm super excited for that event, and the song as well, of course. So hopefully other people are. And like I said, top 12. So there is a lot of opportunity for if you're worried, oh, I'm not that good at whatever game. I mean, there's certainly, as long as you participate actively, I think anybody has a good shot of making that top 12 for sure. So yeah, check that out in announcements for like the full text of that. Of course, if you have questions, message me. Let's see. It's a bit, yeah, playing a bit catch up here because we did have some fireside chats. Apologies again for this one being on Friday. I delayed it from yesterday, and of course the Thanksgiving one was canceled. Probably I should have canceled that before even the day, just because it's Thanksgiving. But I didn't. I was kind of stranded in various airports and whatnot, and didn't get a chance to, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll be back on more regular schedule for all these events and everything like that now. I will shout out that the Artisans Guild is both looking for members, but also looking for leadership candidates. So if you're interested, let me know. And once I've found a few candidates, I will post those, and we'll have a vote and see who the new leader is going to be. So yeah, and then let's see. Historians Guild, we're trying to put a little time into working on updating all the codex entries. They are all super out of date. Working on a new template for member codex entries as well, making a little bit of progress there. Still some stuff going on behind the scenes with House Dippity as far as some not behind the scenes. You can see in House Dippity chat we're talking about relics, some changes to those, some updates. Also some more secret stuff is happening too. And we do have, let's see, veneration events. Something I was asked about as well. My plan is that's another thing with relics, but veneration is the points you get to earn a relic. I'm hoping to hold some Dippity only or Dippity hosted events that let House Dippity members just earn veneration just for attending or participating or winning. That's something that will be on the way, just with how much stuff we've got going on right now. Probably not till January at the earliest, but hopefully sooner rather than later on that. And finally, there was a handbook update. I have been doing my best to post what the changes are exactly in announcements, and with just kind of a sort of like a, I think Kusiag or somebody called it patch notes, which I like that term. So just basically clarified a couple of things. Mostly just adding a few guides on how to do warband reviews, how to do some of the duties, stuff like that. One thing that did change, or rather a couple of things, is related to the threads on the monolith as far as warband duties and expectations. I tried to let all officers know about that, but there is a new duty. I removed duty 9, which was to reevaluate returning members at what rank they should come back as, because it didn't seem like really a regular duty. I figured we'll just consider that to be something every warband does. Doesn't need to be listed officially, because it just barely ever happens. And then we will have, or we do have, rather, a new duty 10. The old duty 10 moved down to duty 9. The new duty 10 is to double check that your warband meets all the expectations that are listed there. So I still need most warbands to tell me who's going to do that. As I had asked, I need to write down who is doing that 10th duty, the new one. And then as well, I did adjust some of the activity requirements. Nothing crazy, but for example, the 75% active members thing is for members that aren't on a leave of absence. So those don't count against you. And also, the 75%, for example, the definition of highly active is they have to have sent, rather than send a message every week, so 4 weeks a month, right? It's 4 times a month total. So the idea being that if a member is sort of inactive 1 week, they could make up for another week. Like, it didn't seem to make sense to have a member who was super active, let's say the first and then the last 2 weeks of the month, but then missed a week in the middle there, kind of, oh, well, he's inactive. Well, it doesn't really make much sense. So I adjusted that so basically the purpose, and also because StatBot only shows you the stats from the past month, basically it makes more sense to simply have those stats, or rather have the requirements just line up for the month. So 4 messages sent per month, 4 hours in voice, whatever. It's all listed there in the threads and monolith, so definitely encourage everyone to read the handbook and read those, especially if you are a Raider or higher. Definitely if you're a Berserker or higher, you should know all those threads in the monolith and the handbook back to front, pretty much. I mean, I'm going to say I don't have every word of the handbook memorized, but 9 times out of 10, I bet if you ask me a question, I could tell you without looking at it. I'd like everyone to be as close to that as possible who is in any kind of leadership position in WA, because, I mean, yeah, I think it's kind of self-evident. I mean, anybody who's leading WA should kind of know how the rules work, basically. So, yeah. Hopefully, if you haven't put too much time into reading those monolith threads and or the handbook, peruse them again. Again, if anybody has any questions about what something means, feel free to just shoot me a message or ping me anytime. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's a bit of a long intro announcement section here, but like I said, we missed one fireside, delayed, and it's been a bit of a busy time. So yeah, that should be it. So, and this, of course, is the final fireside that is public, where we all can just discuss as well before the Court of the High King officially kicks off. I'll take that off of the slideshow or the background here on Twitch, actually. Hopefully people got a chance to see what that background is going to look like, and hopefully I remember to change the name of the stream and the background based on which event I'm hosting. Certainly possible I messed that up. But yeah, does anybody have any questions or ideas or topics they want to bring up?
So for future firesides, will it be like whoever has a topic to discuss will be invited to it, or is it like an officers only kind of thing, or what's up?
So the future firesides, anybody that wants to show up can, but they just be listening. It's just gonna basically be what that first 15 minutes of me rambling. That's what fireside chat's gonna be from now on. And if anybody wants to join the Discord channel and listen, they can. But and then basically, if there's anything they want me to discuss, any announcements or anything, they can message me or ping me or whatever, and I'll do that. And then that way it will be kind of this more concise segment where hopefully the idea is that people who maybe don't have as much time or something can just listen to that on YouTube, and it's not such a chore, I guess. It's more just the announcements, and then basically any kind of thing of people that just want to discuss something on WA Twitch or whatever, discuss it with me, will be the Court of the High King with those 2 time slots per week is what that'll be for. So yeah, still open for everyone to attend. It just will be just me. And then the Court of the High King will be the open, anybody can join and just hang out or talk or whatever. But I will just a asterisk to Court of the High King. Though it will be expected you don't join and just like interrupt people or let things won't get out of hand or go crazy or anything like that. It's supposed to be a little bit organized so that if somebody joins and has a question or topic they want to bring up, they have the opportunity to do that. Just so people know.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Did I miss Fireside entirely, or is that what's going on right now?
That is what's going on right now.
Cool, cool.
I mean, technically you're 20 minutes late, but
Yeah, well.
Well, it's a weird time slot. I delayed it from yesterday, so I thought about extending another week as far as because this wasn't the standard time slot. It's a bit of a bummer to have the final traditional fireside at a weird time. But I figured, let's just I'm excited about the Court of the High King thing and everything like that. So I figured might as well stay on track and just yeah.
I guess my question is, how many war bands are you willing to fall under you?
Um,
Good point.
Because as far as I can see, like a lot of war bands are, if we keep cutting like a ton of people to meet these requirements, there's going to be several war bands that won't be able to meet the member requirements.
yeah, it's certainly possible. Any number really, to be honest with you. I don't really. Yeah, I'm not really worried about the number falling under me. I think a couple will, but I know at least from me speaking with some of the warband leaders, I believe that a lot of them, for example, this first month is pretty crazy. It's pretty hectic. People still figuring out the system. It doesn't mean that it didn't count, but I think that probably things will be better from here on out in most regards. And I think, like I said, speaking to a lot of warband leaders, I know a lot of them were kind of saying like, well, we didn't meet the requirements this month, but that's because I didn't, demote some of these inactive members because I wanted to take a month to talk to them and see if we can get them active before we just throw them off the boat right now. So I think, which I think is reasonable, given that it's the first month and whatnot. Um, Yeah, if they fail 2 months in a row, yes, they would get moved under me. But at the same time, certainly possible they can get moved back under a great company after being successful as well. And I'm certainly not afraid of warbands dying or being decommissioned because as much as that's a mechanic in the rules, it is pretty hard for that to happen. There's actually no member minimum for a warband under me. The only real requirement is that they are active. So for a warband to be decommissioned, it would have to have all of its leadership and most of its members basically go completely inactive. Which I guess is possible, but I don't really see it happening. But I guess we'll see. I mean, we're still kind of in the early stages here. But I'm prepared for however many warbands, honestly. I mean, as far as how it relates to me, it's adding a couple of lines to a sit rep. Honestly, I don't think it's. I mean, uh, sometimes people are gonna ping me, message me with questions and stuff. Pretty much happens anyway. I mean, I'm as far as how much if it would be too much of a burden on me, I certainly don't think so. I'm totally ready. But we'll see. One thing I did add, or rather, two things really. I posted in the all thing. There is in the all thing. I posted two kind of things I added to the template. So for great company reports, and warband reports, I added a field for number of active members and the percent that are active, which I think makes a lot of sense. Kind of like Kusi said, he's like, well, he just had the thought, and then he realized, well, this is crazy that we weren't doing this. Totally agree. So I think that's a great idea to add that. And I also added to great company reports um, officially that they have to put number of active members, total members, and percent active, and then also whether the warband met all expectations or failed a certain expectation, which each expectation has a letter A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I think that's an easy way to notate it, which just makes it a lot easier to tell the state of warbands because right now one of the things I want to do is kind of go through really with like a fine-tooth comb and take a look at every single warband beyond just the sit reps just to get an idea of where we stand after the first month. But I know like I said, my sit rep, when I wrote that as far as I knew, I think basically every warband was failing expectations to some degree, but I will take a look to be sure on that. One thing that I did have to clarify is that, for example, if you demote some members to guest, and so you meet the 75% active after that, that's fine. Like you're good for that month. That's not a failure or anything like that. So it's after you make the changes. So I think some of them may have passed. Um, I think the one thing that kind of I was a bit disappointed. I think we did have a lot of reports submitted last minute. We wound up getting everything in on time, so I mean, good job to everyone on that. Like we didn't have anything late, but I think it's important that we all like I said earlier, read the handbook, read the threads and the monolith, and know those super well, and that we try to get them in everything in as early as possible, and also get all the warband duties done every single month. Like I'm trying to add easy ways for people to just check that stuff off and assign it to people and everything like that. Um, I'm not I'm not going too crazy as far as I'm furious or whatever because like I said, it was a crazy month. It's the first month. We had stuff come up. I know people are still getting the hang of it. I think things are gonna get much better as well in the future. So I'm not super worried, but I am looking for us to improve across the board too. Well, does anybody have anything else they want to bring up though?
Just what I say.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so the 10th duty, like I posted in the all thing that I removed one of the original 10 and made a new one. So I updated all the duties to just be 1 through 9, and asked all the warband leaders to tell me who's going to be doing the 10th. So that's what I've been waiting for on
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
so host of the High King, will this be like a directly after Fireside kind of thing, or is this like 2 separate days of the week.
Oh, Court of the High King, Host of the High King is my vague umbrella term for all the warbands that are me. As far as the Court of the High King, I might put it after Fireside some weeks, but I probably will do it 2 other days of the week. I'm not sure. It will kind of depend a bit on my schedule. Um, we'll see. I might do one time slot after Fireside since that Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific seems to get decent attendance most times. So I might, yeah, do one of the time slots at least most of the time, if not every week around there, and then do another one maybe earlier or something like that, or later even, per every week based on my schedule. I'll just announce those in events as early as I can for each week, what those time slots are going to be. Another question is the let's see. Oh yeah, so the difference between public and private venues in the rules is something that's come up actually a bit as far as what is appropriate in, for example, what can you say in Ganunga Gap and Niflheim? What can you say in Warband Chat, Warband Voice Channel versus Mead Hall? Different stuff for sure. If you look at the rules, wacer.net/laws, those are all on there. That's an easy way to look at it if you don't want to, scroll through the handbook or something on Discord. But it's all there too. And basically, the idea is you can say more. They are more lax because the idea of a war band is that it is more of a kind of group of friends, comrades that are, it's not so much a very public facing venue like Mead Hall and Bifrost and those voice channels up top are intended to be. So the idea is that the rules are a little bit more lax in 2 regards. The first one is, say a Thane from Warband A cannot punish a member of Warband B for their behavior because only their direct chain of command can. With the idea being that that will help mitigate the effect of there being no context for something. Like, for example, some friends in a warband might joke around with each other, and somebody outside that might see that and take that a completely different way. So it's made to allow for that. And B, just because, like I kind of touched on earlier, it isn't. It's more. They're more private. They're considered private. Warband, Great Company, Voice, Text Channels, Ganunga Gap, and Niflheim are not necessarily private, but in the same regard, they are more for inappropriate stuff. So the thinking is that yes, the rules are more relaxed, but not dropped completely. There's certainly been people bringing up rules in voice channels and stuff like that. I think the closer we are to the rules in private chats, the happier I will be. But I'm willing to allow some stuff. I think one thing that was brought up was voice channel disturbances. Do not cause disruptions, no excessive background noise, interrupting people, interrupting events and stuff, or spam joining, leaving, switching voice channels. I think all that is pretty self-explanatory. Excessive background noise would be closer to what I mentioned earlier as a joke, which is somebody like leaving a chainsaw on in the background while voice activation is on. Um, yeah, voice activation actually isn't banned in the channel, but if you can't use voice activation without just like constantly breathing on your mic, constantly having people talking in the background all the time, that's pretty annoying for people, and that would be excessive background noise. So I would say that's a rule, and that's, I mean, I don't view that as honestly very different between public and private channels, but it isn't to say that you can't use voice activation or something like that. And yeah, I think I'm trying to find the rule here. Let's see. Yes, this is the language I like that is here is they allow reasonable and slight modifications of behavior rules when not in the presence of guests or strangers. So I guess reasonable and slight would be that doesn't mean racial slurs are okay. We can just do whatever. We can just, yeah, run our chainsaws and voice activation. We can just, spam, switch channels, all this, different stuff. I could go through every single rule and just give an example. I would say it's more just like jokes and stuff you can make that maybe you wouldn't make in Meat Hall, that kind of thing. But I think the idea of that is not to drop the identity of WA, which is that we are better than most other venues where gamers are going to be hanging out in terms of the content of our communications and how we carry ourselves and that kind of thing. Um, I'm willing to let people joke and everything like that. I think that's really important. But I think that even with the idea that warband voice channels and whatnot are private, it is important to keep that in mind. I mean, I guess it depends how invested you are in WA as a 18-year-old, 18 and a half-year-old clan with all these ancient heroes and histories and songs and stories. To me, that sort of it goes hand in hand with this clan being kind of special and people having to respect that a little bit in on the server. But uh, regardless, yeah, that's kind of the idea. That was kind of a rambling answer, but hopefully that gives some idea of how much rules should be bent in private channels. I mean, if I think that it's always fine to ask questions of your officers or me or whatever for like specifics on this. If any of the officers feel like the laws are not specific enough, whether that's because somebody told them that or they just think so themselves, I think bring it up in the all thing and we can totally look at trying to make things more specific, making it less vague or whatever. That's certainly something we can do too, and all that is actually even detailed in the rules of basically under jurisdiction and infractions, I just added pretty recently essentially how to enforce the rules. So I believe that's 6 through 8 here. If somebody's uncertain of the rules, they can go up the chain of command, ask their superiors. If an officer is uncertain of how these rules work, or they want to suggest a change, bring it up in the all thing. And also Rule 8, which is both those enforcing rules and those accused of breaking them should do whatever is necessary, including commuting privately to avoid public drama, which is basically just a rule of keep a cool head in situations where somebody's bringing up a rule or enforcing it or something like that. Um, yeah, it's always I mean, like I said, bring it up in the all thing, that kind of thing. Bring up with superior officers, and we can figure out exactly where we stand on all that. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that gives some idea of how that public and private venue thing works. Like I said, reasonable and slight modifications, I think, is a pretty good rule of thumb. So, for example, I think most people could read that and make some joke while playing, a game with their friends or whatever, and understand that, well, maybe this could be interpreted badly in Meat Hall or as public channel, but between us, it's totally fine. Nobody's going to care. We all know each other super well. That's definitely a reasonable modification of the rules, that kind of thing. Well, yeah, does anybody have any other questions or topics or anything they want to bring up? Do not. This is the final normal fireside. Not as if this is the last chance anybody will get, because Court of the High King will give people way more chances than they normally would. But yeah, bit of a
So will Court of the High King it will not be on YouTube, but Fireside will, or
that.
how's that going?
Yes, that's correct. So yeah, Court of the High King is not something that's going to be like preserved for all eternity. That's a super good point to bring up. Um, just because like honestly, hey, we might have a random week where I put it at a weird time because it works for me, but it doesn't work for most people. And we wind up having a Court of the High King that's half an hour or an hour of me like playing some game or just sitting here with the court page up and just ranting about something. Like saluting 10 years ago. I don't know, just some topic. Um, and yeah, nobody wants that on YouTube. So, and also just uploading it to YouTube. I kind of feel like our YouTube channel, I want to keep it more just higher quality, really. So something like just like me ranting, just kind of a random hangout. Well, I like streaming it on Twitch just because that way it's preserved for 2 weeks, so you get that chance to go back and watch it if you really want to watch Court of the High King and you missed it. But also, I think it gives the opportunity. Let's say somebody has a topic or something that they just thought of and they want to bring it up. We'll post it in Twitch chat. Maybe you're on mobile, or ping me on Discord and you can listen in, even if you're not in the Discord channel. I like the extra opportunities it gives, extra avenues it gives people to uh, talk to me about stuff, basically, or bring up their questions or ideas or announcements, everything like that.
Cool. Cool. Cool bean.
Well, does anybody have any final ideas, questions, topics, anything they want to bring up before we sign off for the final traditional Fireside Chat number 85?
Rest in peace, Fireside.
Well, that is gonna be it then. However, we will be back for Fireside Chat number 86 next week, so it's not really it, but I think yeah, it's sort of an interesting milestone now, separating it into these two different events. So hopefully, Court of the High King gets some attendance. As I said, I'll post the times on that as soon as possible. And yeah, that's going to be the type of event where, of course, anybody can show up and talk and everything, just kind of like Fireside, except there won't even be that intro announcements. I'll just be sitting here, and you can just join and immediately talk and whatnot. And it's going to be streamed. It's going to be a longer time slot, 30 minutes at minimum, if not an hour, for each one, depending. And yeah, if you can't make it to one of those, but you have something that you want me to announce on Fireside or Court of the High King, up to you. Knowing that Fireside Chat's the one that's going on YouTube and is more official. Yeah, just message or ping me or post in Twitch chat or whatever, and we will do it. I will announce it and everything like that. Cool. Thanks, everybody who's watching live or watching the VOD. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. This has been Fireside Chat number 85. We'll be back for Fireside Chat number 86 next week, Thursday, standard time slot, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we will begin the Court of the High King 2 time slots next week to be announced very soon. So we'll see everybody then.